everyone on Cyclone has a couple things they need to work on, and maybe they can get a better draft going on here in Game 2. Let's go into picks and bans and find out right away. They're going to be in the first pick position this time around, so we could see them try and take away that Hercules from Lion Guard. It was so potent, or maybe Susano. I mean, I wouldn't want to play against FrostiaK Susano again.
Definitely not against the Susano. He was just a big factor all around. Only having one death the entire game just goes to show you how comfortable FrostiaK really is on this god. So CycloneGG needs to figure out ways around that. They will take that option away from Lion Guard. Now the question is, what are they going to first pick here? Are they going to look for ways to shut down Frezzyy, or are they going to go for their comfort picks?
Could be either way. Wlfy had a great game on that Neath. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but he definitely had a lot of damage. I believe was second in the game whenever we checked in on Lion Guard doing that Fire Giant. Sylvanus is going to be that first pick for Kalos in the support role, and immediately Lion Guard responds with the Hercules.
Yet again, they're going for their comfort picks is Lion Guard. Frezzy's so aggressive on this Hercules. More than likely going to do the same start with the Sunder and Poseidon as well, because it's that hard counter. Not only that, you're also looking for these early picks onto Sylvanus before the health and defenses come online. Look for the Kraken combinations with that boulder.
Absolutely. I mean, the cripple was very, very impactful for ShadowNightmare, as well as just the slows. We saw him frontlining, just popping Trident with his Fatalis and just slowing the entirety of Cyclone, really setting up for the rest of the team to come in and clean up for him. Anhur and Batz going to be the two selections here for Cyclone. We've seen Wlfy play so many Hunters in the mid lane that who knows if that's even going to the duo lane, that Anhur.
You never know.
Batz definitely going to be for iceicebaby in the jungle. We've seen Batz have be 2-0 so far today, at least in the earlier sets.
And I like this idea of picking up the Batz against Lion Guard because of how aggressive Lion Guard is so far. Batz ultimate, the Fear No Evil, just basically will stop all of that aggression, and you're going to be able to find the counter engage off of it, especially relying on the sustain from Callus on the Sylvanus. The longer these team fights last, the more beneficial it'll be for Cyclone.
Absolutely. Only Lion Guard Hercules is the only one on Lion Guard's roster that has any sort of sustain, and that's only for himself. Not going to help out the rest of the team. Odin and Neath banned away by Lion Guard. They also don't know if that Anhur is going the middle lane or the Hunter role. Neath can do the same, so they're just going to ban her away. Fafnir and Fenrir, a couple Fs banned away by CycloneGG. Apollo going to be the selection for FleuryQ, giving a little bit of global pressure as well as the ability to match any sort of split push that Vote may try and go for this game.
I like the idea of switching from Medusa to Apollo this time around, trying to match the aggression from Serqet. You need to be more of a presence in the early to mid game as the Apollo, so this is what Lion Guard is looking to do. Now, probably going to shift their attention away from that dual lane and look for more action in the mid.
It's going to be Isis in the mid lane for Wlfy, Bellona for Deathwalker, one of his most comfortable gods in the soul lane. Last pick here for Lion Guard, trying to round out their draft. They've got plenty of mobility, good AoE, courtesy of Poseidon. They need one more pick, and it's going to be the Ymir. So could be Ymir solo, Hercules support. Could be the other way around. You never really know with someone like Frezzyy on your team. He's going to play something, and it's going to be aggressive. That's really all you can count on.
But it doesn't matter who's going to play the Ymir. The fact is the team fights is the presence for Lion Guard with those walls, shutting down Isis from escaping, making sure that Sylvanus has nowhere to go as well. That freeze is going to set up the Poseidon beautifully.
Absolutely. Let's get right in the game. Game 2, Lion Guard trying to secure their 2-0 victory over Cyclone. Cyclone trying to get into the win column for the first time here in the SPL Spring Split of Season 4.
And Lion Guard, they really need to get off to a good start in week number 3 thus far. They found a split against Elevate in week 1, and then they beat Sanguine in week 2. Losing to Dignitas was not the end of the world for them, considering how powerful that team really is. But winning against CycloneGG is going to give them a little bit of momentum, but they're going to need to start looking for other ways to win against teams that are at the top as well, against Energy, against Valence Squad, and Obey.
Frezzyy and FleuryQ deep into the enemy jungle. Looks like they're going to be proxying the wave here, Tolly. And they thought about doing it between the Phoenix and the Tier 2, deciding they'd rather do it in between the two towers here in the duo lane. Both these characters have excellent early game clear, and this is going to allow them to really get an early invade on this left-hand side.
Especially with a passive from FleuryQ, he's going to be able to clear this really quickly. It's faster than the Sylvanus Anhur combination will. So this is basically a race of who's going to invade faster, and it looks like Vote and Callus are not too far behind here. The archers on the side of the left was not picked up quite fast enough.
Wlfy getting very low in the middle lane, popping his only health potion. He's gone for Soul Stone, so he's not going to have any sort of regeneration. No Bumba's Mask this time for the mid laner for Cyclone. Red buff finished off very quickly by Lion Guard, and that's going to give him enough time to go for this purple. Red buff just now being finished by Cyclone, and instead of going for the enemy purple buff, they're going to elect to get this lane pressure.
And the positioning of it is required because FleuryQ and Frezzyy had the purple buff. They're going to be able to clear this right outside the purple buff, catching, making sure that wasn't going to meet in the middle. Frezzyy taking a lot of damage, has to back off and allow FleuryQ to take some of these shots. He does have the meditation available on the side of Callus, though. He went for the blink, surprisingly, as a Sylvanus. Normally, that's a good idea to look offensively, but normally, Callus likes to play more defensively.
Well, here's the jump onto Frezzyy, and the slow is good there. The somersault is going to make sure the first blood is secured. Vote able to pick it up. A nice pull from Callus. Also gets the purification beads out from FleuryQ there. So even though the aggression early on from Lion Guard works to perfection, they get the wave, they get both buffs, they get another wave, the rotation from iceicebaby and Wlfy enough to punish them and get that first blood.
And CycloneGG, the oracles were split. ShadowNightmare making a good job rotating, making sure that vision hasn't been controlled on the side of Cyclone, as well as Lion Guard invading the blue buff here, taking that away. Ducky's going to have his own blue, stripping that away from Deathwalker, level 3, both of them, as well as having the mana chalice on the side of Ducky. He's just going to spam away.
Deathwalker doesn't know FrostiaK's here. The taunt is good. FrostiaK finds the Deathbane, but cannot find that auto to pop those catalysts and do the majority of the damage. That's where Serqet gets most of her damage from, is that passive that does percent HP based on how many of her abilities she's hit you with.
Unfortunately, Ducky didn't look for the pull-push combination. It seemed that he used it just to be able to clear the wave, and this is the one advantage that Hercules has in the early game against Bellona, just to be able to out-clear the Bellona. Pulling the wave together, driving strike it all in a corner, makes it really awkward for Deathwalker to find the bludgeon the way he wants to.
Even though Deathwalker has lost his blue buff, that isn't the end of the world on someone like Bellona, right? Because he has those AoE autos, the Death Toll procs as well. He's low on mana right now, but he doesn't need a whole lot. Hold that thought. Frezzyy pulled in and immediately impaled. The Desert's Fury gives him the CC immunity and Vote, trying to find this first blood. ShadowNightmare with a great Kraken trying to buy himself some space, but it's not going to be enough. Frezzyy falls, ShadowNightmare falls, and Cyclone off to a quick 3-0 lead.
FleuryQ landing back in. He wants to find a return kill, but the ultimate from Sylvanus, as well as the Hunbats, making a presence known. FrostiaK trying to get into the thick of things, but it's actually going to be a 3-on-2. Ducky's coming on the backhand side, not finding the pull. Great disengage from Vote, stunning out the Sylvanus and finding the boulder, the double tap. He just needs to be able to find one more in hand. Callus, he has the blink. He gets through the wall.
He's out. Unbelievable. The immobile tree goes over the wall courtesy of that blink. You were calling blink an offensive option. Well, right there, uses it defensively. Cyclone able to escape with every member surviving. And luckily for them, FrostiaK was only level 4, because if he has that ultimate there, that last breath, it probably spreads through the entire team.
And CycloneGG have been doing a great job picking on Frezzyy, this immobile guardian on the Ymir. This is what you have to do in the early game. He went for the Watchers, and this is the difference between going for a warrior support that has the war flag, giving you mobility as you clear the waves, versus Ymir that has the Watcher's gift. Not having much mobility here. And look at this, yet again, Frezzyy just out of position by himself, contesting speed buff. Of course he's going to die here.
Yeah, curious decision out of the support. 4 minutes in, 3 deaths for Frezzyy on this Ymir. Like you mentioned, just contesting a speed buff all by himself against 4 members of Cyclone. Cyclone may not have found a win early in this SPL season, Tully, but they're definitely experienced enough to know that Ymir is a free kill.
Especially now that they have this 1,000 goalie mid lane, though. Wlfy not going to get the healing off of that ultimate from FrostiaK. Finding at least 1 kill on the board now is Lion Guard, and this is what FrostiaK needs to do with ShadowNightmare more often. Similar to the last game where he was playing the Susanoo, making sure that ShadowNightmare got off to a good start. Now playing the Serqet, he needs to sit in this mid lane and shut down Wlfy.
And that's exactly what he's trying to do. 1 death, the only death so far for Cyclone is onto Wlfy in the middle lane, but he uses purification in the process, and that means he's a little bit more vulnerable for the next 2 minutes or so, and I expect we'll see FrostiaK or Frezzyy there to try and make him pay once more, because we saw what ShadowNightmare can do with a lead in the middle lane. Even when he's the only magical damage for a team, he was able to do enough and make Cyclone respect his damage enough to make them build a Heartward Amulet instead of a Sovereignty against 4 physical.
You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. FleuryQ taking a lot of damage off of that. 1 Impale and 2 Enhance, already at half health away from Vote. And the big strength here from Lion Guard is the fact that that Serqet Poison ultimate is going to prevent any healing coming out of Wlfy's Circle of Protection and the Wisps from Callus. So focusing the mid lane here is probably the best bet.
Fear No Evil onto Frezzyy again. There's no one in red on the map near him, anywhere close, and he just gets picked off for nothing, really. Cyclone only used Fear No Evil there, and they're able to put the 4th death onto the support. He's already 2 levels down of Callus, just now finishing off his penetration boots, not even going for a defensive option, still wanting to stay aggressive in typical Frezzyy fashion.
Goal Fury has been started. In the air is FleuryQ, though, getting stunned out of ShadowNightmare, throwing out the Kraken, hitting out 2 to 3 members there. Callus taking a lot of poke, but that Gold Fury is at half health, and with a rotation from Deathwalker, that's going to be free.
Gold Fury goes the way of Cyclone, 6-1 in kills, a 2,000 gold lead, and Lion Guard just seemed to have kind of lost their heads a little bit. First, it's Frezzyy going in 1v4 on the speed buff, then 1v3 in the middle lane. He gets caught out, and there, ShadowNightmare trying to defend the Gold Fury throws away his life, and the Gold Fury wasn't even close to within steal range for the Kraken.
He was trying to coordinate with FleuryQ into the chariot there. Unfortunately, not having too much mana to be able to stay in that chariot, he had to go back to the left-hand side. That being left out of position, this Poseidon had nowhere to go, especially before he finishes off that Fatalis, finishes off that Gem of Isolation. He's going to be kind of a sitting duck here. He needs more of pressure coming from his frontliners between Ducky, FrostiaK, and Frezzyy, but that's a little difficult considering Frezzyy already has 4 deaths.
The good news if you're rooting for Lion Guard is that FrostiaK has been able to free farm very well, and despite having being 5 assists down from iceicebaby's scoreline, is ahead in experience, is right there in terms of net worth as well. He's actually ahead of him in terms of net worth by about 100 gold. So Lion Guard do have that potential to play around their jungler in FrostiaK. In fact, he's on this right-hand side looking at Deathwalker. There's Last Breath, throws him directly into the Whirlpool. Eagles rally, and the wall actually blocks off Lion Guard from continuing the chase, ult for ult, but that favors Deathwalker.
Absolutely. It was a great dash after the Eagles rally, able to barely escape that wall. The Blink ultimate onto ShadowNightmare. The stun's going to land as well, disrupting the Kraken.
But there's the Kraken, it finds 2. There's the Circle of Protection as well, trying to get a little bit of damage. Good wall from Frezzyy, actually hurt ShadowNightmare more than it helps him, I guess. Wlfy gets pulled back in, and FrostiaK able to find that kill. FleuryQ, he's here on foot, doesn't even use that global ultimate because it's on cooldown. FrostiaK and the rest of Lion Guard still trying to find these kills. Deathwalker, remember, no ultimate available for him. Driving Strike, there needs one more auto attack, and FrostiaK's gonna ambush him in the jungle. 3-0-0 for the jungler, and he's basically the best hope for Lion Guard right now. All 3 kills on that Serqet.
But during the rotation from FleuryQ, Vote has now gotten this 2-level lead, invading the purple buff. He found an extra wave as well. So this is putting the Anhur in a really good spot in this mid game that's working on his Transcendence, and this is what you want to do, just to be able to get this huge power spike, which is why he has the highest net worth of the game, almost at 6,000.
Now, we've seen Anhur be a traditional mid-game, early to mid-game hunter in the past, and with this new Transcendence build that's really focused on finishing Transcendence and then fighting in the mid-game, he has a little bit more power come late game, and we've seen so many Anhurs make such big plays once they finish off that Transcendence.
Right-hand tower, tier 1 does fall on the side of Lion Guard, being able to take advantage of Deathwalker not present factor. But left-hand side, Vote did a lot of damage to that tower, forced out the rotation from Ducky, so that it's going to allow Deathwalker to sit in that lane for quite a while, considering that Gold Fury is not going to spawn for another 2 minutes. And like you were talking about before, we're going to see a lot of pressure here from CycloneGG, still looking for more plays.
Trying to get those fire elementals. They do go the way of Lion Guard. That gold lead starting to shrink down a little bit, 1,300 gold. Frezzy's been a little bit better in terms of his positioning, as has ShadowNightmare, and FrostiaK's been in more team fights, and that's been the real difference maker thus far for Lion Guard, is having that jungler that's doing so well in terms of farm and experience in the team fights and trying to affect them. Serqet, not really the best team fighting jungler, really prefers to find you 1v4, but can absolutely do the job when necessary. Frezzyy again, not in the right spot, stunned out. There's the Kraken, get a knock up iceicebaby, but the Desert's Fury is enough, along with the dot damage from Callus, to finish off Frezzyy. FleuryQ had popped the chariot, trying to help out his support, but could not get there in time. Instead, just decides to farm up his red buff.
5-on-4 for Cyclone. They're going to push down this tier 1 tower, sustaining it with Callus Wisps. They still have the ultimate from Wlfy with Wlfy respawning in about 1 minute. They could look for another tier 1 tower on the left considering how low it is, but at the 10-minute mark, this Portal Demon has spawned. So if everyone from Cyclone's on the left, this gives a little bit of an opportunity for Lineguard to sneak this objective to be able to get 750 gold in their team's pocket.
4 members of Cyclone trying to push down this left-hand side. You mentioned it totally. The sustain from Kalas is absolutely huge right now for Cyclone. Everyone full health, and they're going to be able to push down that tier 1 tower. No problem whatsoever. 3,000 gold in lead right now, and because of the lack of rotation from Cyclone, they're going to try and, or from Lineguard, they're trying to get this tier 2. Meanwhile, iceicebaby all by himself around that Portal Demon, like you mentioned, gets caught out 1v3. Frezzyy knocked up. Their circle of protection pulled back into it. Boom, there he goes. Wlfy able to pick up his 3rd kill. Tier 2 tower falls in favor of Cyclone. Lineguard are able to get that Portal Demon, but that's a big net gain for Cyclone, rather.
Absolutely. 2,000 gold for that, both towers on the left-hand side versus only 750 for Lineguard. They did pick off iceicebaby in the mid lane, which is a nice little bonus, but they're not getting anything more in return. They're going to steal away the speed buff, which is going to hurt iceicebaby a little bit for the next 3 minutes until that respawns, but that's a huge net gain for Cyclone. But look at this, Lineguard, they're going to look for another pit.
Mez into the Kraken, not able to find the pull, but there's the Whirlpool slowing Deathwalker down. He doesn't have the ultimate, but it's still able to escape. Level 12, just tanky enough with that mystical mail. Pull onto Frezzyy into the jungle. He's nowhere for him to go anymore. Wall gonna save him for just a little bit, but a great play from Kalas, able to turn it around onto Lineguard. And now Cyclone, they're the one with the advantage. 5v4.
They just blew too many cooldowns there onto Deathwalker, not able to find the kill, and a great play yet again from Kalas. He's been all over the place, being able to survive numerous occasions, as well as looking for great setups for the rest of his team. This is what you really need to do with your support, which is why Cyclone elected to ban away the Susanoo and look for this early Sylvanus pick. We saw last time around Lineguard banned away the Sylvanus, but I think it was actually at the secondary ban phase in game number 1, so that's why Kalas didn't elect to go for it.
Gold Fury started up here. Circle of protection isn't available for Wlfy. FrostiaK around the back, knocked up, and immediately falls very low. Kalas able to pick him up with that dot damage. Ducky in the middle of 4. This is the theme for Lineguard as a team right now. Just going in outnumbered. 2 fall quickly in Cyclone's favor, and the Gold Fury is going to be the next one to go.
And FleuryQ's ultimates just have not been impactful. I haven't seen him land down once in any engagement. Second Gold Fury of the game going into Cyclone. Already up about 5,500 gold. Experience a little bit under there. Frezzyy, though, he's out of position yet again.
Not again. Not like this. Frezzyy walls just to get him a little bit of time, but he's so slow, courtesy of that pillar, and he doesn't even have a tier 2 tower to go to, even if he does manage to escape to the lane. 13 minutes, 8 deaths for the solo laner, for Lineguard. They've just been picking on Frezzyy all game long, and they've just been able to take objectives because of the fact that it's a consistent 5v4 in their favor.
It just seems, oh, hold that thought, blink from FrostiaK, trying to look for a play. Gonna go onto Wlfy, the Kraken's gonna
Nice
land,
Kraken.
the poison spreads!
There it is, the Whirlpool's good as well, but the Desert's Fury doing a lot of damage there to Ducky. Finds the push onto Kalas, but just not quite enough damage from Lineguard to punch through that tanky support.
They found the tier 2 tower, they sacrificed Wlfy's life, but that's still worth it in the long run, as long as they don't lose anybody else, which is why Cyclone is still grouped up. Make sure nobody's gonna get picked off on the backhand side. Already, Cyclone's they're looking very comfortable here compared to the last game where Lineguard was just absolutely decimating them.
Yeah, and again, it's just because of they have more pressure across their lanes. You've seen Vote have consistent pressure on the left-hand side, much better clear this time around on Anhur. Though Rom also has excellent clear, just seems to have had a little bit of a better matchup against the Apollo rather than the Medusa. iceicebaby has really been the only one that's still falling behind in farm, but the rest of Cyclone is so far ahead that it hasn't mattered that FrostiaK has a slight lead in the jungle.
Even if iceicebaby falls behind, he's a Hunbat. All he really needs to do is get off the well-timed Fear No Evil in the right position, making everybody from Lineguard dissipate in different areas, and this is why Lineguard has been struggling. Even if they wanted to get in, that ultimate from iceicebaby has just been such an important factor.
Vote gonna get slowed down here. Gem of Isolation is completed for ShadowNightmare, but not quite enough too much distance there between the two for Lineguard to try and make a play. Only towers standing still for Lineguard. They're in the solo lane. Both the tier 1 and tier 2 are up. but with how grouped Cyclone has been this entire game, I suspect that's going to be next on their hit list.
ShadowNightmare just backed under that tier 1 tower in the solo lane, and that's going to allow the rest of Cyclone just to be able to pick this one off for free, barely even waiting for those minions to come on board. Frezzy's going to delay it a little bit with that wall, but it's not going to really hold it down. FleuryQ's making the rotation on the left. That's going to be very difficult for LineGuard to hold this last remaining tier 2 tower.
FrostiaK still trying to spray it in the middle lane, but ShadowNightmare gets immediately jumped on by both Kalas and Deathwalker. He is able to escape. Shards of Ice doing a decent amount of damage in return. Kraken not going to find a home there. Wlfy able to get out of it, and Frezzyy takes his 9th death. Last breath onto Wlfy, dropping pretty low. It isn't going to spread, though, as he does die to Ducky's driving strike, but it isn't able to find anyone else. Pull back in from Kalas off that Fear No Evil. Ducky soon to fall. Deathwalker gets his revenge on his enemy solo laner. FleuryQ is pushing down that left side, but tier 2 tower, no more towers for LineGuard to defend their base.
3 for 1. Wlfy sacrificing his life for the greater good. Tier 2 tower does fall. Kalas almost finding the pull. Unfortunately, max range there. Phoenix is being looked on the right-hand side. ShadowNightmare with no more mana, but Frezzy's here to try to stop down, throwing out the wall to absorb some of these in-hands, but it's just not enough and not enough time.
Freeze on iceicebaby. ShadowNightmare gets jumped on by Vote. Not enough mana for him to return anything, but Vote actually pushes him towards safety and his fountain. Right side Phoenix falls. FrostiaK still trying to continue the chase. There's the madness, but just takes so much damage so quickly. Only level 13. He's up against Vote. FleuryQ
landing right in. He's not going to find anybody remaining by himself, though. Kalas going to find the pull right on top of them. The wall kind of deterring everybody else from helping out the rotation. Ducky did teleport underneath. Deathwalker is getting looked to chase down the boulder over the top. Not on the mark, but iceicebaby trying to survive against FrostiaK. He's going to get picked off. Nice wall!
That time around, it helps out the team rather than hurts them. Kalas stuck in that whirlpool. Too slow for him to go anywhere. Ducky finds the kill as well. 2, 2, and 4 for the solo laner, and LineGuard starting to battle back into it. Portal Demons available here. They're up 5v3 in this engagement. There's the Kraken, but ShadowNightmare gets immediately picked off. The Desert's Fury makes sure that Vote doesn't get stunned or knocked up, and Wlfy there to help him out with the Spirit Ball as well.
2 tunnel vision was ShadowNightmare. He saw blood in his eyes going for Vote, but Vote wasn't deterred away from the Whirlpool Kraken. He still had his own Desert Fury available to prevent the initial knockup from that Kraken, just to be able to get off so much damage, especially with Wlfy flanking on the bottom right-hand side. That was an easy 2-on-1 pick for Cyclone. That 750 gold is not really going to be worth it here for LineGuard, considering Gold Fury's up in about 7 seconds.
And Gold Fury has respawned, like you just mentioned, 7,000 gold, or nearly 8,000 gold in the lead is Cyclone. They're looking like they've got a real good shot to get their first victory here in the Season 4 spring split of the SPL. A much needed win. We're in week 3. They need to get something on the board if they want to start climbing those ranks right before the end of the split.
Third Gold Fury being secured by Cyclone. They're still looking for more things to do as Kalas is warning around the Fire Giant. The rest of Cyclone, they're positioning themselves towards that mid lane. Left-hand side purple buff going to get stripped away as well. And this is something LineGuard is just going to have to slow down. They're not in a position similar to the last game where they were just playing so aggressively. ShadowNightmare needs to get in a late game form. He needs to finish off that Fatalis and then look for the more aggressive plays.
Yeah, no penetration whatsoever for ShadowNightmare on this Poseidon quite yet. Once he finishes off that Fatalis, he'll have 10. And that's still not a whole lot. Gonna be difficult for him to punch through the defenses of Kalas and the rest of the team, courtesy of that Gauntlet of Thebes that Kalas has completed. 30 magical protections for anyone who's near him. See a couple pulses there. Looks like a Mystical Mail was picked up right after that Mark of the Vanguard by Deathwalker. Interesting choice for him. Wall going to separate Wlfy from the rest of the team. Ducky still in the front line, but he's only level 14, having a tough time frontlining against the damage-oriented roster for Cyclone. Deathwalker boxing out on the right-hand side up against ShadowNightmare. There's the Blink, Fear No Evil. FleuryQ and ShadowNightmare fall immediately. Vote able to pick one of those up. Circle of Protection down, going to do a lot of damage there to Frezzyy as well as heal up the team. Both frontliners look likely to fall, and they will. Cyclone find 4 out of 5. Right side Phoenix is exposed. They don't even need the Fire Giant totally. They're just looking at the Titan.
Especially with the Fire minions being flooded down that right-hand side. That's exactly what they're going for. Time is a sensitive matter here for Cyclone to be able to find their first win of the SPL Spring Split, and that's exactly what they're going for. It's only FrostiaK. He does have his ultimate, but there's too many fire minions.
Just not enough clear here for a character like Serqet. Jumps into the back line, trying to make something happen, but he's met immediately by the Spirit Ball. sub 20 minutes. Cyclone make a statement with their first victory of the split.
They could definitely hang with the SPL teams, but unfortunately, it's not been able to really handle some of these other teams. Guard, though, they kind of dropped the ball on that last game.
Yeah, and again, it just seemed to me that Frezzyy and ShadowNightmare were continually going in outnumbered. They get the victory in game one pretty handily, but then they kind of, their brains just didn't look like they were there all the time.
I think it's just the story of Frezzyy. Frezzyy does good game one, Frezzyy gets picked off game two, and that's the story of the tale.
Well, we got Tom to break it down for you. Maybe you could put a little more words into it, but that might be it. I mean, that's basically what happened, right, Tom?
I mean, real talk, when it comes down to it, Ryan, I think you're onto something. Game number two was pretty much, it's actually really interesting. In the set one, game number two was just big brother beats up little brother after a very nuanced game number one. We've got something kind of similar. Let's start off with game one, which is the fun one. Game one was very interesting. The stats don't really tell the story. We'll come back to it for game number two a little bit later. Here, you just see the breakdown. Ton more damage, obviously, mitigated by Cyclone because, well, they're the ones getting punched in the mouth. Everybody else here seems about even because, like I said, the story is not told in the stats here. Outside of the deaths, 9-39, certainly a different story. Really, what it comes down to is, again, multi-lane pressure, or at least multi-position pressure. First off, we'll take a look at Frezzyy, the support player on this Hercules. Now, when you play support Hercules, the man does one thing and one thing only. He wins you lane. You're not going to look to really set objectives up, despite the fact that your ultimate's fantastic at that. Hercules is really just looking to win lane, be obnoxious, almost play jungle too. Here, the support is going to take the second kill away from his mid lane here. I have no problem with this. Because this is a Hercules. This is what he does. He's going to beat you up. He's going to punch you in the mouth. If he's not ahead, he's kind of behind. No, that sounds dumb, but even when he's even, Hercules has a hard time. He needs that extra farm to really get going with his heal and his damage. That's why you usually see him in solo lane. You toss a war flag on him, which I'm not convinced on just yet, but you put him in the support position and you give him some farm, all of a sudden, he can exert that pressure. Looking towards the jungle as well, FrostiaK had a fantastic game on Susanoo. This is one of his characters that really feels just FrostiaK, man. This guy just absolutely, Ryan put it best, he's very inconsistent. But when he's put on the Susanoo, all of a sudden consistency comes through. You see these 2 kills come through, and all of a sudden FrostiaK turns into this monster. Bam. All of a sudden, he's just absolutely assassinating. And peep that. What allowed FrostiaK to get that double kill right there? It's the Hercules support setting it up with the ultimate. Big, big deal that these two characters come online. There was a 5,000 gold lead in 12 minutes, and a lot of that has to do with these two players right here. FrostiaK and Frezzyy. The double F come through, and they absolutely tear it up. Ducky helps out as well. Really, it really just comes down to the fact that Guard Entertainment, LGE here, just absolutely kill it off of Frezzyy and FrostiaK combined, really setting things up. Again, look at this. Last one, that's going to set up for the mid laner. Slide kick comes through, and Hercules just crushing it. FleuryQ joins in as well. So that's fantastic game number one, really just set up by Frezzyy and FrostiaK, which, not the story for game number two. Well, halfway. FrostiaK still looked dope on the Serqet. The assassin certainly came through and made things happen. Look at, and the stats, like I said in game number one, not really going to tell the tale. Game number two, completely different. There's a lot of stuff on the screen right here. We can look at the kills, obviously lopsided in the way of Cyclone over there, 22-8. But really what I want to talk about, outside of the structure damage, which, I mean, that's kind of standard, the healing. You had not just the Isis in the middle lane, which did a little bit, but it really was the Sylvanus that did the lion's share of the healing, no pun intended. 8K to 1K, really big deal, into a Serqet pick, which is very interesting. Isis was the fifth pick coming out for Cyclone, and then we got to see it picked into a Serqet. Very interesting. But the Serqet never got a chance to really come online because Frezzyy, despite his fantastic game number one, really was a liability in game number two. Here, he's going to be picked off in the dual lane as First Blood. That's kind of just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Not really his bad. This one, different story. Gets caught out making the rotation. ShadowNightmare's right next to him, but still, Frezzyy goes down. That's kind of troublesome. 2 kills right away against the enemy support. Shadow's just kind of bonus right there. Here comes the Isis, and this is just Frezzyy. What? wrong place, wrong time. And what it comes down to is that repeatedly we saw the support picked off. Most importantly, look at the time here. I'm not trying to bash on Frezzyy. 6 minutes in and there's 4 deaths on the support. That sets up Guard Esports' just demise. It's just the fact that there's no tank to really put up that frontline pressure coming out from the Ymir. He's not able to do what he was able to do in game number 1, and that was an issue. Part of me, I don't want to get into the player's head, but part of me thinks this is sort of that game 2 hangover. You're an ultra-fed Hercules, nobody can kill you, you can't think about anything, and then you come in and you solo invade speed buff at 3rd minute. Just a little problematic play coming out of me, coming out of Frezzyy there on the Ymir to really set his team up, or he just couldn't. The rest of the squad across the way on Cyclone just absolutely crushed it. Ice's ultimate's fantastic from Wlfy. Really had a lot to do with the healing out of the support. But again, Cyclone just in general, they took advantage of the support player early on, and it's much less about Frezzyy being in the wrong spot and more about Cyclone being able to take that information, take that lead, and bring a win as a unit to the team. Cyclone celebrates their first win of the season, and that's going to do that for our European segment. Moving on.